Welcome to Pax Europiana here from Frankfurt. It's the Willy Brandt place and it's the Friedenstraße. Here you see the Peace Street. Yeah? And I would like to explain why exactly Olaf Scholz is doing such a policy as he does, why he is the big appeaser, why he doesn't deliver weapons, why he doesn't deliver major political support to Ukraine, why he is actually the wrong chancellor. It's a big tragedy we have him at the moment, and why he will also not change or learn or not improve. Yeah? Why? Because, and by the way, he doesn't deliver weapons, he doesn't deliver significant money, he doesn't deliver, yes, and he rejects Ukraine's NATO membership, and he was instrumental to start this war by his visit in February 2022, when he went to the Kremlin and said, we will never take Ukraine in NATO, you don't have to attack, and Putin thought, wonderful, that's an invitation. I will attack because I really want Ukraine and they don't want it, and so I take it militarily. So Mr. Scholz is to blame, and he will also not change, he will not improve, he will not learn. And why? This is very highly symbolic. Friedenstraße and here Willy Brandt place, yeah? And here the logic is very clear, yeah? Because he is, and all his party, most of his parties, there are some better people like Roth and others, yeah? But in principle it's like this, yeah? They are in that tradition, and that Russia should be appeased, yeah? That Germany is guilty 100% for the Second World War, and they are actually, there's no doubt about that one. But that Russia is the big winner, and they hate America, and they love Stalin, and they love the Soviet Union, and it was always like this. Yeah? And in the SPD, you will rarely find anybody who is not loving Willy Brandt, and they think that Willy Brandt's policy of Ostpolitik, that means engagement with the Soviet Union, appeasement, that means buying the energy, that means being soft on Russia, that means being not confronting them, that means all the policy which has led to the terrible 70s, where he was the chancellor. That this policy of the OSCE and all this kind of detente has led to the fall of the Iron Curtain and to the victory. It has not. The 70s were leading to disaster. In 79 and 80, the Soviet Union was close to take over most of the world. It was the disaster. America was very weak, yeah? And they didn't like the policy in Vietnam, obviously, and they had the answer, be soft with the Soviets, and so that was the disaster decade. And he will never change, because he sees himself as the ideological heir of the peace project of Willy Brandt. So there is no hope. There is no hope with him, because he will continue that policy. And he will always talk nice to Putin, always try. Now, for example, Putin is a bit in a crisis because he has this defeat at Kherson, and he will be very much defeated by the Ukrainians. And immediately the moment will come where they will start to say, please, let's make peace and let's put pressure on Ukraine to give in. Because that's exactly the way they're thinking. And that's exactly the Olaf Scholz thinking. That's why he doesn't give enough money, that's why he doesn't give the 2,000 tanks he has. That's why he is basically rejecting Ukraine from NATO. Because in his thinking, that's the Russian sphere of influence, don't mess with the Russians, and always be nice to the Russians because Germany is guilty forever. Yeah, I don't agree with that. Germany is not guilty forever. Yeah? Germany was very much guilty for the World War II and for all the crimes, for the genocide and for the Holocaust. But that doesn't make Putin's policy in Ukraine now in a way excusable, because he's still angry what happened 18 years ago. Yeah? No, the Ukrainians were the worst, the heavy victims of World War II. Yeah? Many of the Jews killed in the Holocaust, they were from Ukraine. It is the former parley of Jewish settlement of the Russian Empire, exactly Belarus and Ukraine. And so then we come to the moment, yeah. Now they are attacking, Russia is attacking, and Germany is doing, the Greens are stabilizing the influence, so they do something. I don't say they do nothing, yeah. But in principle, it's close to nothing. It's little weapons, because everything is blocked by the grandson of Willy Brandt. And it will not change. There is no way there is any improvement possible. So what is the conclusion? We need a different government. As I was always clear, we need very urgent a different government and a different chancellor in Germany. There is no way Ukraine can win with this meager support. So ultimately there is no hope, and all the left-wing fantasists who didn't know what the SPD is, and they didn't know Gabriel's anti-Americanism, who didn't know Schröder is in service of Russia, and so on and so on. He was the chief of staff of Schröder. So let's be very honest, there is a systematic understanding from the 1970s, 50 years on, in the energy policy, in the so-called appeasement, peace policy they call it, in the pro-Russian and in the anti-Americanism, because ultimately it's a left-wing party. They hate America. They think it's an imperialist power. They didn't see it as an anti-communist fight in Vietnam, but as an imperial fight of the Americans, and that's the worldview. And that will not change. They see America as capitalist, imperialist, colonialist, and to be rejected. They see NATO as something grudgingly to be accepted, yeah, because they are, of course, Democrats. Yeah, you know, they see it also as a defense of the free world, and they talk some things nicely on that one. But ultimately, they are anti-Americans and they are pro-Russian. It's no coincidence that the Eastern German politicians of them, they are all fully pro-Russian. Yes, that's the fact. So if you have any hope that Olaf Scholz will change, I hope I shattered it. And it will not happen, be sure about it. It's a lost case. It's a grandson of Willy Brandt, and they led us to the worst period of the West. It was 50 years ago, from 1968 started the real crisis of the West until 81, when gradually we recovered under Thatcher and under Reagan, and that was the good times. And they brought down with a confrontational attitude towards the Soviet Union, with the end of energy purchases, with the decrease of global oil prices, and with the basically artificially created bankruptcy of the Soviet Union, which led then to Gorbachev being elected as the Secretary General. And you know, may he rest in peace, but he was a man of an empire of evil. Let's not forget that. And while he was personally maybe not as evil as his system, yes, and he was also a reformer, and he didn't use the tanks in 89 or 91, only inside. Yeah, let's never forget. Yeah, he killed many people in Azerbaijan and in Lithuania and in Georgia. And so that's also something they don't mention in the Austrian and German media these days. Anyhow, let's have no hope for Olaf Scholz government to be in any way more pro-Ukrainian. We have exactly that situation here now in Germany, and I call for a new government. His coalition must fall, and Lindner, who is complicit with his policies, must go. There must be a no Free Democrat leader who is breaking that coalition, and I call the Free Democrats, the Liberals, to change Lindner and to break this coalition and to join the free world and the West again, and to make sure that we support Ukraine towards victory by funding Ukraine, by issuing new European debt, by reducing taxes, by making the military investments needed to contain Russia. And please, and that will be the biggest battle of all, after there is an armistice and Ukraine is in NATO, because that's the way the war has to be ended. Ukraine must be in NATO, armistice, and it will be not complete unity. There must be derecognition of Russia. No business as usual, but Russia must be derecognized. We don't need an evil Eastern Empire big as Russia east of us. Yeah? It's a danger for the world, and it's a danger for free Europe and the West. So Russia must be dismembered and derecognized. Of course, Willy Brandt will not like it, Olaf Scholz will not like it, and many of the appeasers will not like it, but that's the only way forward, and that's the policy the West should adopt in the future. Thanks a lot, and more to come about that issues here from Frankfurt in the coming days. Bye.